Welcome to part 3 of the budget tiny house on wheels build. So a quick recap from the last video. We started with this old Coronet Caravan here. We tore it all down because the frame was just too far gone. And we turned it a little bit more modern now. As you can see with the frame, we've gone for a bit of a nicer look to it, to each front and back section. And we added some flooring. And in today's video, we are completely cladding the exterior. So let's get into it. So we've screwed on our first bit of H molding, just trying to get a little bit of practice up. Just glued it on with the Soudal Carbond stuff. This stuff was recommended by Soudal Products. Let's get this first sheet laid over the top. First sheet on was very difficult and frustrating to get in, but it's there. We've got it located down lower here. We have to notch out a little bit of the back. So it's the next morning. Last night was a very late night, about midnight we finished up. We got this last sheet here put on, and I'm not showing much of this because it's really hard to actually get the camera up at this angle so you guys can actually see what we're doing, but I'll just do progress updates. It took us like 7 hours or so to do the front and that part. Now that sounds like a really long time, but there was a lot of bends in this front piece. So I've got this bit of wood here, timber. This will have to stay for like a week. It's just going to put pressure in the center because we can't actually clamp that. And we've got all that sort of clamped down, and it's a really tight bend to get round. So that's bent really well. So now we're on to flat sheets. We've got this flat sheet, we've got one more to go, and one after that I think we'll just have a bend in it, and then we'll start to work our way down. These screws we're going to replace with rivets, obviously, and we're going to cut these sheets back flush so we can do the walls. Alrighty, so here we have it. The roof is pretty much complete. Too much of this because it was just too hard to get up there and show you, but we've got some weights gluing on the first front part. This sheet, back sheet here, we've left with that fold in it because I want to let it sit for a couple of days just to try and help that fold. This is the stuff I'm using. It's a Soudal product, like a T-Rex product. It actually stays elasticy when cured, and it, allows the panels to sort of vibrate a little bit so they don't spring loose. And I've also used some VHB tape here, like a 3M tape. I do have to clamp the top here. It's come away both sides a little bit. Front here, I've had to add some box tube as well, just to screw in to here. And yes, I did accidentally get that with the drill. I've just noticed that by accident. But anyway, there'll be a toolbox up the front here. As you can see, we've got the back one up. I didn't show too much of this because, again, it's really hard to get in here. Got this H mold screwed on. Now, I can't remember if I showed you guys this, but we had that sheet over here, basically leveled it all up, screwed this on so it's nice and level. We do have to extend a piece sort of longer than this. This is one I cut off, but we have to go all the way across to there to extend that section. And the other side, you can see we've got clamped up. So we've gone ahead and glued all this one on. This was very difficult because we've got not much to clamp to, and the other side's going to be even harder, but as you can see up there, it hasn't pulled away or anything overnight, which is really good. We've got that suction clamp inside. That's just pulling the bottom of the window in a little bit. Don't have much of a gap, which is really good, so it's held its position overnight. We've also got this bit of H molding joining up here. Well, I need a new tape measure. I've been using this thing too much, bending it, and it's all cracked. Look at that. That ain't good. Okay, so we're countersinking these trims so our screws can go down and sit mostly flush, and then we're sanding the heads a little bit. And behind here we're using our sealer, our polyurethane glue behind, and then we'll do it sort of in our join as well. So the join's up here, but yeah, we butt it against each other, put a nice big thick bead. Once it's set, it just peels off easily enough, not into the join. Righto, so we've got that dried overnight. Now this sheet gave a lot of hassle. Basically we did the glue, we dry fitted it a few times, and then it was just sort of moving in the center. It was going like this, and it wouldn't go in either end. You put that end in, this end would pop out, vice versa. So that was a really sort of shaky moment because we had glue going off and I really needed to get this thing on. Really straight. So that worked, not too much pressure, just enough on there. Yeah, you can see we've got quite a good gap. And at the top here, we've just notched it slightly around the sheet, just so that it does hold in. All right, so I'm not sure if I've shown a whole heap, but I will say I'm trying to get as much footage as I can. I keep saying that, but it is so hard when you've got glue and stuff and you just want the wax sheets on to film it. And it's pretty much the same every side. So this is probably the hardest side you guys are gonna see because we're gonna have to go down and sideways. And it's such a big sheet. Like the back there, we're going to actually do it a different way. Yeah, I'm trying to get as much footage as I can, and hopefully it's helping people out because there's a couple of you guys on here that are wanting to do this, and it's definitely rewarding if you want to put time in, but it's also a lot of work as well.
Okay, so honestly this would have to be the worst part of this entire build. That suction I talked about earlier, I almost gave up. It hit us again.
On both sides made it way too difficult to actually get the sheet put in and down at the same time. It just grabbed the sheet and wouldn't let go, wouldn't let us move it. So you can see we've actually pulled this thing off. I've let it all dry and I'm going to have the tedious job of removing all the sealer. So I'll catch you when it's done. Alright, jump forward a heap. I thought I showed this part before and then we pulled it off, so I'll just show you guys when we're done. This is all glued on. It's been sitting for about 2 days. Super happy to have this put on. We ended up notching out the back side of the sheet in this section. A huge tip for you guys that are doing the H-mold on the bottom and the top, on the side. I was about to cut this one so I could put it in and slip it in underneath. So that's what I did there. I went round with the circular saw and just dug in a little bit, took out a little bit, and it made it so much easier to get that sheet in.
So this back panel was also quite difficult, but we managed to get it in and managed to get the H-mold up underneath, and it all worked out quite well. So finally onto the first piece of checker plate, and we're starting with the front of the van. Wish I had a guillotine.
Alright, this is super exciting.
Everywhere gets a good sand just to help the glue stick.
Turned out really nice. I'm just going to clamp the bottoms a little bit just to help it from pulling out, and I'm going to paint the rivets. Definitely going to paint those. Got all the checker plate loaded in. I've got an offer of getting this guillotine instead of me having to cut it with a circular saw, and he's also offered to bend up the back section for us. So I'm going to go get that done. I'll show you guys when it's finished.
This is the shape of the back sheet. Now I'm going to have to finish off the back end because we actually never finished the rear angles. As you can see here, it sort of drops down. So we're going to have to put this piece here in, and we'll do the same in the center.
So here we have it. We've got the centers welded in. I've got a little support in the center just so that those bits don't flex too much. And we've got these corner parts fully made. Very quick mock-up we've got here. This is starting to look really good.
This little piece was nice and easy for a change. First side completely finished. Onto the opposite side. So I've skipped through most of this side, but as you can see on the forward sheet and the rearward sheet, I've sloped it a little bit in towards the door just so it flows a little bit better.
So this is super exciting. We're onto the back, the last piece for this van of cladding. I've sanded all the frame up again, once again, tied it all up, sanded underneath that lip that we're going to seal to under there. This one here. So I've tidied all that up again. And as you can see, like, we've got everything done on this van. Checker wise, this come out really good too. So the only way to get in is this tiny little hole. This is so exciting though. Oh, I'm gonna echo a lot in here, so I won't talk too much, but this thing is now completely sealed. Oh guys, I'm so excited. I've got to cut the door out. That's fine, I'll obviously do that here very soon, but as you can see, this back piece pulled up really well. I put so much sealer on it, I think 3.5 tubes. I just didn't want anything coming up through the boards working its way in, any water ingress whatsoever. Plus there'll be a shower here. Well, Ryobi, I think I need a sponsorship. You're router to do the job. Alrighty, so we've got the door fitted up completely and it looks really good. Opens up quite nicely. I've just got like 3 screws in it for now. 2 in the hinge there and 1 underneath this cover, so I'll have to put 3 in. This is just a little piece of that J-rail we're going to use. We'll have to hammer that all the way around. I've got 2 spare pieces, so hopefully I don't stuff this up. So check this out. We got pretty much all the molding on. Now down the centers, I just have to cut them and join them obviously in the center of the van so they all match up. Now, unfortunately, I have had to actually cut these bends, which I really did not want to do. And I know I can already see the comment section saying, no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have hit it round. I heated these up with a heat gun. I tried every single possible thing. I actually damaged one big long length because I don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, I tried heating up the joint and then slowly hammering it over, and that didn't work. So unfortunately, I've just had to cut these. Now when I take these back off, I'll obviously run a little bit of sealer on here, so it should hide it all hopefully. And I do have to pick some of this stuff out. Couldn't get that off because it's stuck to the checker. Alrighty, so what we're doing is I've taken off the J-rail, J-mold. So now what I'm doing is filling this little gap in. I don't want any leaks, so I'm filling the gap in with some sealer. And then we'll flip this over and I'll seal all the backside of this really heavily and all the joins and stuff. Then we'll slap it on. Alrighty guys, so it's about a week later. I've been working a little bit off camera. We've gotten this side finished up. You did see on the time lapse there, so it's all bent around the van, nice and tidy. I cleaned up the residue off the checker plate. I really wish I had tried this. It's all trial and error. I wish I had done that on here. I've got a lot of cleanup work to do there, and I feel like it's going to pull the powder coat off of the plate for some reason. I don't feel like that's actually powder coat, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, we've got all that cleaned up. I've actually started to clean up around the edge here. As you can see, I've got a little squeeze out to clean up. I've been letting that harden. So over this side, we've gotten all the J-mold on as well. And this was done like Wednesday, and I'm yet to clean it all up. So I've just got to take all this, peel all this off at some point once it all dries. So this is actually going to be a wrap for today's video. It's quite long. We've gotten so much progress done. This van is pretty much sealed up. Now in the next one, we're going to be putting the door in and the step in. And then there's pretty much going to be final sort of cleanup work of the silicone or the polyurethane, and be putting lights and stuff on. Now my goal of this van is to get it pretty much to this point with some lights on. We'll get rego on this thing. I don't know how that's going to work because it hasn't been registered since 1995. Little sneak peek of the next video. Seal the roof. Got windows too to go in. Oh, we got some lights on too. Make sure you guys stay tuned. Don't miss out. It's been a huge build and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've tried to show as much as I can. Any questions, leave it down in the comment section. I'm happy to answer them. Be sure to give this video a like, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. I'll see you in the next one.